Hi everyone, it has been way too long. I realized that the last video I posted was in the beginning of December, and it is now halfway through March. Um, Life happens, and the holidays happened, and all kinds of craziness. So I kind of struggled with what to do, whether to not to go back and do like a floss tube video, a knit video, a spin video, and do all three or do it as one long one. And I personally don't believe people really want to watch things that are an hour, hour and a half for the most part, unless the content's really good. And right now I'm not super comfortable with the level of content that I'm producing. So I decided to do a spin with me video of a spin project that I'm currently working on. And basically, I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit. I'm Kate. This is the Sacred Fuzzy Podcast, episode 2. I do all the fiber things, except for weaving, but I do the cross stitch, I do knitting, I crochet some, I spin a lot. So that's kind of where I am, and this has kind of been hard to get back into, I guess, after the first episode that I recorded. I'm going to apologize off the bat for the lighting. We had snow on Tuesday. We had a nor'easter, and there's 18 inches of snow outside. It's reflecting. I have white curtains. I tried putting light in the room, but it was more backlight and it didn't work. And I realized I'm wearing black and I'm spinning black fiber and it's backlit, and one of these days I'll get the hang of the lighting, but that's just kind of the way it's going to work. So anyways, what we're doing is I'm spinning kind of an unspecified wool. It was sold as like an arm knitting thing, and I had bought 2 pounds, dyed a bunch of it, had grandiose plans to spin and knit a sweater, start to finish. That didn't happen. So now there's kind of bits and pieces, and I have another project that I have in mind for it. So this is skein 2 of what I need for the Goldfish Memories shawl. And what I had previously spun was mostly gray. Right now what I'm spinning is black-ish, but the dye that I had was kind of I think this might have been Tulip brand dye, which is usually for cotton fabrics, but it's also capable of dyeing animal fibers. It's all mixed together in there, but they just happen to come out lighter. You don't get the true, really vibrant colors that you do when you're dyeing cotton with that particular type of dye. So it's almost this greenish, bluish gray, but it's supposed to be black. On my bobbin, I already have a gray, and when I was spinning this, I was like, this is going to be the most boring spin in the world because it's literally 2 colors. I'm going to apply it together. They're going to look kind of the same. The other stuff that I'm spinning with it, I have a green, blue, kind of very muted, heathered, almost monochromatic, in that it's pretty much this, there's like no pops, no nothing in it. And then the other thing I have is purple, and it's the same type of thing where it's basically 4 ounces of fiber that's all one color, very little variation in it. And I was like, I need something to kind of set that off and to break up this spin so I can get through it. So I had some pink and orange dyed roving from the same project. That was just like a little tiny short piece. I think it was like maybe an ounce. I don't remember exactly how I broke all these up. This was last year, but I did that. I split it up a lot, and I'm doing a technique that I saw in a video by Shalome Hopkins, where you kind of make these mini bats by fluffing everything out and stacking them together. I don't have a drum carder, otherwise I would have run it through that, but I do have hand cards, but sorry, a little bit chaotic. I threw out my back, so I'm stuck in this chair. I've been stuck in this chair for like 3, 4 days now. I recorded this Wednesday. I threw out my back Saturday, the previous. So yeah, I've been stuck in this chair. So I couldn't really go dig out my hand cards. Um, so it's been crazy. But I was at the point where I was like, I need to move a little bit. I can't really get up and move and walk, but I can move my legs minimally without pain. So we're going to spin come hell or high water. Like, this is what we're going to do. Um, so anyways, back to what I'm spinning. There's that pink and orange, and I wanted it to be almost like a tweed, like a really, really light tweed. And I'm hoping that since the green that I've spun has a lot of blue in it, the orange will help offset that when I knit them side by side. Also with the pink, because red is the opposite of green, I'm hoping that the reds in the pink will help with that green. And I think that the black and the purple that I have will go good together when they're side by side. Um, and also because orange has yellow in it, that should help with the purple. So I'm kind of hoping that just piecing these things together, that it will end up looking like a cohesive project, and not be too crazy. You can see that I had a lot of the pink left over, so I'm probably going to spin a mini of that and do something else entirely. And yeah, the reason I'm voicing over this is I was watching YouTube videos, and I'm pretty sure on a fiber arts channel, you don't necessarily want to hear about video games, because I was watching another podcaster, Quill18, who I was watching his Civilization game for Civ 6, because that's the other half of my life. And yeah, I didn't A, want to steal his content, and B, didn't think you really wanted to hear it, especially sped up, because it sounds like the chipmunks or helium and, these things. But so yeah, I'm fluffing everything out. I'm laying the black sandwiched with just a little bit of the pink. I had to split this roving, the pink roving, down very, very, very finely. Um, I think I probably divided from the original roving, I divided it lengthwise like 8 or 9 times, just to get the pieces thin enough, because I had spun a previous length that it was just too much pink, too much orange in like almost stripes, and I really didn't want that effect when I'm knitting up this pattern, because the Goldfish Memories pattern is stripes of large blocks of color, and I didn't want a self-striping type thing within that. So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing with this. Unfortunately, when I dyed this roving, it was kind of one of the first major dyeing things I had done with not food grade dye. And so this particular roving, I don't know if it was the dye powder settled weird, or the the actual fibers got scorched. But there's some really weird crunchy sections in it. It's not felted, but they're very, very brittle pieces of fiber within this, and I don't think that that was what it was like originally, in the undyed form. I'm pretty sure that was something that happened during the dyeing process. So, I mean, that was a really good lesson to learn, though. And yeah, I'm trying to think what else is, like, so much has gone on since the last video I posted. It's just, I don't know. I don't even know how to backtrack if I just kind of start fresh again. So if you have any ideas about just kind of how I can manage this time gap and try to keep my content continuous, please share your ideas and comments down below. in the comment section. I would greatly appreciate that since I'm kind of a neophyte YouTuber. So you can see here, there's the gray. It's a little bit lighter than the black that I was spinning, and there's that huge chunk of pink, and I just really didn't want that in this skein of yarn. So here I'm actually going to unroll that from the bobbin. There's really no good way to do this except, you know, long and kind of tedious. And the other reason was I had enough gray and enough black that when they were spun, they should come out about equal, and I could ply them together and not have a big chunk that was the same color plied on itself. When I initially did this first bit of black, pink, orange, I realized the pink and orange, since I didn't plan it initially, was going to extend the black section way too much, and it wouldn't look right when it was done. There'd be too much of the pink, orange, black plied on itself. So I decided to take this off, and I'm going to spin a mini with it, with the rest of the pink and orange, and use that for some kind of project. Eventually, I kind of have an idea of doing a shawl out of all the bits of hand spun that I've done as I accumulate them, from projects that it's like the remaining piece that's kind of too little to do another big project with. I actually just finished a shawl, and I can show that hopefully in the next video, out of hand spun, and it turned out really good. It was just kind of, I needed something to knit, and so it's kind of like a survival knitting type thing. And I'll talk more about that later, but I have a decent sized chunk of that yarn left, and I think it would be really good to try to do something to kind of reflect on where I've been as a fiber artist and kind of how I've progressed. And I think that doing either a shawl or a wall hanging or some kind of project out of like the remaining hand spun bits that I have would be really good. Okay, so now I'm finally like actually getting started spinning. Um, it's been a process. If you've hung with me for the whole 12 minutes so far, you're awesome. And thank you again so much for watching my content, because as a neophyte YouTuber, I really appreciate it. I swear one of these days I will get the hang of this. And again, if you like what I'm doing, or have any suggestions, subscribe, like, comment down below. I really appreciate your feedback because it helps me structure how I'm going to go about creating content for you guys. So yeah, now I'm finally like able to spin. And the yarn that I'm spinning is going to end up kind of a heavier fingering weight, but not quite the next step up. So I don't worry too much about consistency. I tend to be a fairly consistent spinner, but I don't have like a gauge card or anything like that. I probably should, because it would probably help me improve a lot as a spinner, but for right now, like the little slubs, the little inconsistencies really don't bother me, and I find that the yarn that I've been spinning comes out fairly consistent once it's plied together. And it tends to not be too overspun. The things that I've been knitting with my hand spun are knit back and forth, not in the round, so that kind of helps to take out any overspinning that would otherwise make the garment have a lot of torsion if it was knit in the round. So that's something that I find helps, at least with me, a lot right now. Again, I'm sorry that like I'm spinning black on black clothing with really bad lighting. This was just kind of fly by the seat of my pants, and I felt the need to put out some video content and I really wanted to do it, and I'm kind of, like I said, limited on what I have to work with. Yeah, so I'm drafting just kind of the way that I draft, I guess. I honestly don't even know what kind of draft it's called, but it's just how I roll, and it produces something that I like, and I guess that's kind of ultimately what matters. Someday I really do want to learn how to do a long draw, though, because that would make my life so much easier, because I'd really love to spin some nice, like, lace weight or cotton fiber or linen fiber, um, and just knowing how to long draw well and consistently on a spinning wheel would, like, mean the world to me. So if anyone out there that's watching this knows how to do this well, or has videos that they have seen, that know how to long draw spin on a spinning wheel and are really good instructional videos, please send them my way, because like I said, I really want to learn that technique. I think that it would help improve me a lot. So yeah, I guess I've now rambled for 16 minutes. There's a little bit more video left, and I'm going to stop talking, throw some music, sit back, relax, watch, and at some point in the near future, I will be back to talk to you all, and hopefully I will be more mobile. I can show some more of the projects I've been working on. I had a few new starts over the last 2 months that I'd love to share with everyone. Thank you so much for sticking with me, even though it's been like a long time since I put up my first video. But yeah, I will see you all in the near future, and I will do a plying video with this spin, because I Andean ply, and that's something I've not found a lot of videos on YouTube showing how to Andean ply from a spinning wheel. I've seen it with drop spindle, but just not on spinning wheel. So I hope that that's something that's interesting to at least someone out there, and that you'll check that out. Happy St. Patrick's Day for anyone that celebrates. I know that's coming up. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one.